All right, let's get right into it. If you're a woman over 40, you're busy, and you just want to feel strong, energized, and really in control of your health again, then this is for you. We're about to break down a plan that's backed by science and is genuinely doable, designed for your body right now.
Does this question sound familiar? I bet it does. It's probably one of the most common things women start wondering about in their 40s and beyond. It just feels like the rules have totally changed, right? What used to work for you just doesn't anymore. Well, I'm here to tell you, you are not imagining it. There's a real biological reason for this shift. So the scientific name for what's going on is sarcopenia. I know, that sounds a little intense, but all it really means is a natural, age-related loss of muscle. The key thing to get here is that muscle is the engine of our metabolism. So when we start to lose it, that's what makes everything feel different. But here's the good news, and it's really good news. This is not a one-way street. It's a process we can absolutely manage and even start to reverse.
Okay, so here is our game plan. First, we're going to really understand the midlife body shift. Then, we're going to build our solution on 4 really powerful pillars: fueling with protein, building with strength, systemizing your week, and sustaining your new habits. And then, we'll pull it all together into a 14-day action plan that you can literally start today. First things first, if you feel like your body is changing in ways you just can't seem to control, I really want you to hear this. It is not just you. It's biology. A huge factor here is the decline in estrogen, which, as we're about to see, dramatically speeds up the loss of both our muscle mass and our bone density. So take a look at this timeline. It really visualizes what's happening. We hit our peak bone and muscle mass in our early 30s. Then a slow decline starts. But notice that point during perimenopause? Everything accelerates. And that brings us to this critical window, the first 5 to 7 years after menopause, where bone density loss can happen really fast. This is exactly why taking action now is so important. Okay, so how do we fight back? Let's build our defense with pillar number 1, fueling with protein. To combat that muscle loss we just talked about, our number 1 tool is what we eat, and that strategy starts with protein. It is, without a doubt, your muscle's best defense. And look, this isn't just a popular opinion. This is backed by some serious research. A study from the University of Connecticut was crystal clear. They looked at hundreds of healthy postmenopausal women and found a direct link. Women who didn't eat enough protein had worse physical performance, plain and simple. And when you dig into the details, the differences are just stark. Look at this comparison. The low-protein group didn't just have impaired function. They had higher body fat, a worse ratio of fat to lean mass, and they even reported more fractures. Meanwhile, the high-protein group, lower body fat, better physical performance, it's compelling stuff. This isn't just about numbers on a chart. It's about how you feel and function every single day. So if protein is our defense, then our offense is strength training. And I really want to reframe how you think about this. This is not a hobby. It's not something to do if you have extra time. For women over 40, building strength is an absolute necessity for your long-term health. This quote brings us right back to that critical window we saw in the timeline. That rapid drop in estrogen accelerates bone density loss, unless those bones are being stressed, the right kind of stress that is. So what kind of stress do our bones actually need? Wow, it's actually way simpler than you might think. We can break it down into 3 essential steps. First, just aim for 2 times a week. That's it. Consistency is so much more important than intensity. Second, focus on big, compound movements. Things like squats, overhead presses, rows. And third, here's the magic ingredient: progressive overload. Don't let that term scare you. It just means making things a tiny bit harder over time. That could be 1 more rep or a slightly heavier weight. That's the signal that tells your body, hey, we need to build stronger muscle and bone here. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but I am incredibly busy. I get it. And that's where our 3rd pillar comes in. This isn't about finding more time. It's about creating systems to reclaim the time you already have. And our best tool for that? Batch cooking. I mean, just look at the difference this can make. Cooking a meal from scratch every single night can easily eat up 7, maybe more, hours a week. But by spending just 1 or 2 hours prepping on a Sunday, you can slash that time. We call it the 5-hour rule. You get back at least 5 hours every single week. Seriously, what could you do with an extra 5 hours? And getting started is really easy. You just need the essentials: some good containers, a blender, some mixing bowls. But I love that this list also includes the most important tool of all: good music. Seriously,
batch cooking can go from being a chore to a therapeutic, creative ritual you actually look forward to.
And that brings us to our final, and honestly, maybe the most important pillar of all. We can have the world's best nutrition and exercise plan, but it means absolutely nothing if we can't stick with it. This pillar is all about the psychology of making these changes last. It's about who you become.
The author James Clear talks about this powerful idea of identity-based habits. And the core concept is to stop focusing on the outcome, like, I want to lose 10 pounds. Instead, you shift your focus to the identity. I am the type of person who moves her body and nourishes it with good food. It seems like a small shift, but trust me, it changes everything.
So how do you actually build this new identity? Well, as James Clear says, you prove it to yourself with small wins. You don't just wake up and decide you're a healthy person. No, you prove it to yourself by taking a 10-minute walk. You prove it by choosing a glass of water. You prove it by doing one set of squats.
I love this analogy. Think of it this way. Every healthy choice you make is a vote for the strong, healthy person you want to be. One salad won't transform you overnight, just like one single vote doesn't decide an election. But hundreds of those small votes, cast consistently day after day, they add up. And eventually, they elect a new identity for you.
Okay, we've covered all the why. Now, let's get to the how. We're going to put all 4 of these pillars into practice with a really simple, structured 14-day lifestyle planner. This is where the theory becomes your reality.
Let's just peek at a sample from day 1. See how the pillars are all woven in? The prep you did on Sunday? That's your systemized pillar. It makes your morning easy. You've got a protein-first breakfast to fuel your body. You've got 2 different blocks for movement to build strength. And then at the end of the day, you log one small win to sustain that new identity. It's a complete system built for a real busy schedule.
And here is the most important rule of all, taken right from the planner. The goal is not perfection. You're going to have days that go off the rails. That's life. The goal is consistency. If you miss a workout, just show up for the next one. One off day changes nothing. But a consistent effort, even an imperfect one, changes everything.
So we'll end on this. Forget about the number on the scale for just a moment. Forget about a dress size. The real question this whole plan is asking you is, who do you want to become? Because every small choice you make, starting today, is a vote for that person.